When Dave and I were well down the road of recovery, we realized that we needed to reconnect. But when your marriage has suffered the shock of a betrayal such as porn addiction, how in the world do you do that? Do you even want to do that? Now, before you turn me off, please listen to me. There's no super glue in the world that can pull together all of the pieces that have been shattered and are laying on the ground. In fact, you probably can't even find them. But it is possible to reconnect. And sometimes you need additional people to come alongside you and help, like we did with our counselor and then with our accountability group and even some coaching, that we needed help to start to reconnect, to learn that. Because if you think you can go back to normal, well, normal's what got you here in the first place. So you've got to find a new way to reconnect. The people that you turned to, that we turned to, that helped us learn that new way of connection, said we needed to do this, and I thought, yeah, right. That's the last thing in the world I want to do right now. I'm still struggling. I'm still angry. But as we progressed down that road of recovery, and as trust started to get built back again, and we've talked about trust before, trust doesn't happen overnight. It has to be built moment by moment, day by day. So as that trust began to be built, I realized that I did want to reconnect with Dave, but I didn't know how. So today I'm going to give you 10 ways that I learned to reconnect with my husband. However, I want you to pay attention to this. This is not, if you go through this 10 list and say, well, we're not doing this is not a measure of your relationship. These are some ideas, and you may already be doing these, but maybe there's one that you can add to your list. So remember, these are ways that I learned to start to reconnect with Dave. Let's talk about the first one, touch. Now I got to tell you, this was a hard one, because after Dave revealed his pornography addiction, I didn't want to touch him. I didn't want him to touch me. I was so hurt, and I was so angry. But my counselor told me in that period of time that it was okay to have a physical separation for a while, because we both needed to heal. Then that understanding gave me space to grieve what I knew. However, as we continued to rebuild trust, I realized that I did want to touch him again. Maybe it was just brushing my hand against his, or my leg against his, or I even began to reach for a hug. But those little moments of touch were connection points. The second one is to speak kindly. Wow, this is a tough charge, especially after you've been wounded, when the anger is so strong. But I had to spend time processing my emotions, and as I did, I began to thank Dave for little things like, hey, thank you for cleaning up the kitchen for me, or I really appreciate you remaining sober for the last week and not looking at porn. And as that happened, it opened up additional honest communication between Dave and myself, where I could tell him how I was feeling, and he was able to then speak kind words to me and affirm me. The third one is to laugh with each other. Now I know, I hear you. How can you laugh with someone who's wounded you? Well, you can. You see, I tend to see life on the tougher side of things. I tend to, if I allow myself, to go to the negative side. But I've learned to laugh more. And as I've grown and as I've healed, and as Dave and I have healed, I've done some studying, and psychologists actually can tell us that laughter will save our life. Well, the Bible agrees about that in Proverbs. It says a cheerful heart is good for the soul. It's good medicine. Well, if your husband tells a joke, laugh at it. If it's bad, laugh at it even harder and tell him that was a really bad joke. It's okay. Maybe you need to revisit some comedies that you used to enjoy watching together. Laugh at those. Go ahead and sit back and laugh as hard as you can. Sometimes if you laugh so hard, the tears come. And that's a great benefit, because tears cleanse our soul. So go ahead and find things to laugh about. Silly things that you may do throughout the day. The fourth one is to listen well. I speak a lot about the importance of listening, because we all need to develop the skill. It's not something that we're born with. And if we practice the art of active listening with our spouse, we give them the gift of being heard. Linda Outka, a friend of mine, says one day she wasn't listening to her young son, and he was trying to get her attention desperately. Well, as children will do, they're very honest with us. He put his hands up on her face and said, "Mom, listen to me with your eyes." I love that. What a beautiful description of active listening. We need to give that gift to each other, where we listen beyond the words and we listen to the heart. Trust me, you're going to learn some things you didn't know about your spouse. The fifth one is to practice micro moments of love. Now, micro moments of love is not a term that I came up with. It's from Kyle Benson with the Gottman Institute, and he says that these micro moments of love are those small, seemingly insignificant times throughout our day that we reach toward our spouse. You know, as we watch movies and as we see advertisements, and you know, we're taught this idea that to be romantic, you need to have a beautiful dinner and you need to shower your spouse with gifts and all of that. Well, that's not really not love. And if that's not their love language, that doesn't even minister to them. It doesn't even speak to their heart. But micro moments of love are cultivated during the grind of everyday life. They draw us toward each other. So think about it this way. How can you speak to your husband using his love language? Do you know what it is? Well, if you don't, that's a great question to ask him and listen to how he responds. And what do you need to communicate to your husband to help him make you feel safe in this relationship? This is a two-way street, but these little micro moments when we reach toward each other in the daily grind of life, just sometimes even squeezing his hand in a to encourage him, or maybe it's that wink you give him over the kids when the kids are acting up and you're both feeling frustrated. Something like that are points of reconnection. The sixth one is to praise your spouse in front of others. It is so easy, especially with girlfriends, to get into the beat up on our husband mode, and that's not good. When that starts happening, why don't you instead switch the conversation and praise him? I did this one time with Dave as we were in recovery. We were with a group of business people, and we were talking about something, and out of my mouth came some praise for Dave, and I watched him stand a little bit taller, and I realized what that did for me, to realize this really was true about my husband. The seventh thing is, here's a little idea: text appreciation to him during the day. Now, depending on his job, he may or may not get that right away, but those little words of affirmation will encourage him. You don't know, but you may send him a text when he's down and actually converse together. You talk about things and you open it up. And instead of saying, well, how was your day? Throw that one out the window. That's not a good question to ask. But ask something like, what was the best part about your day? Or was there something challenging that happened today? Do you need to talk about that? How can I help you? How can I encourage you? The ninth one is to pray together. Now, this was something that I learned as we were in recovery. You can't pray for someone you're angry with. And if you are angry with them and you follow the discipline of praying for them, God works in your heart. And He helps you turn toward that person instead of against them. Another way you can do this and take a step further is to read the Bible together, talk about what you've been reading, and pray together. The 10th one, and this is the one I think we always forget, especially in times of tension, is to play together. Whether it's table games or a game of horse, a tennis match, or taking a bike ride, whatever, you need to find time to do fun things together. You will reconnect in a better way. So which one of these ways will you take today? How can you apply one of these to your life? Dave and I work at this daily because it's something that is ongoing to continue that reconnection. If you feel like you need to talk to someone about this, that you're just stuck, please jump over to KirstenDSamuel.com and click on that big blue button. I'd love to talk to you, encourage you, and find out ways that you and your husband can learn to reconnect. If you're still at the point of this being in shock, then let's talk. You can heal, you can recover. It's not dependent upon your husband. You are in control of who you are. So let's talk. Until next time.